Okay, so this is Chapter 16 homework. So we have a few questions here. We'll just start going with this. And this particular set of questions is looking at money supply, the balance sheets. So let's go on. Okay, so the first question is asking, which of the following functions as a medium of exchange, unit account, or a store of value in the U.S. economy? Check all that apply. So remember, anything can be money, but anything in quotes within a country. So plastic credit card, I'm just going to remind you right off the bat that a credit cards or credit is not considered money, and it's considered a loan. So, and then you have Picasso painting, and then you have Japanese yen, and you have US dollar bill. So I'm going to tell you right now, the plastic credit card isn't money, so it's not going to meet any of the requirements of medium exchange, unit of account, store of value. However, the other three here could be used as money. And so what you want to do is figure out which of the uses would they meet. So if you have questions on that, you can always ask me. And then the next part of it is asking, given your answers to the previous tasks above, indicate whether each of the following is considered money in the U.S. So this was which of these here would be actually money that you can use in the U.S. Economy. So we'll continue on. I think you can answer that. That's why we're continuing on. Okay. The next question is a set of questions. They're actually really good review questions to test whether or not you're understanding how changes in reserve requirements, buying and selling of government bonds, federal funds rate, how that impacts the money supply. So I'm actually not going to give you any hints on this because I think you should be able to do it. You'll want to review your notes because we're going to do this all in class. You know, if you increase the reserve requirement, just as a FYI, you increase the reserve requirement, that means that the Federal Reserve is requiring banks to hold more money in the form of cash. So that means they have less money they can loan out. Well, that's going to decrease it. So in all of these situations here, you're just kind of going through each scenario and figuring out what will happen to the money supply. It's a really great question to kind of help you with the exam, preparing for the exam. Okay, the next question reads, your uncle repays a $150 loan from 10th National Bank by writing a $150 check from his TMB checking account. Assume these funds are the only loans and deposits available for your uncle and the bank. So here's your uncle. So they're making this a really simple, they're calling it a T account or a balance sheet for our purposes. So if the only thing that we have is this $150, and remember, a balance sheet shows anything of value, and liabilities is anything that we owe. I think you should be able to kind of figure out what will happen here for your uncle, and then for the bank as well. Now, and then it says, complete the following T account. Again, think of this as your balance sheet for your uncle and TMB, the 10th National Bank. They're calling it TMB, after your uncle repays the loan. So what it's asking is what will be your uncle's assets and liabilities after he repays the loan, and what will happen to 10th National Bank's assets and liabilities. So really, would there be anything for the uncle or the bank if the loan gets repaid? I think you should be able to do that. And then it asks, after all that, your uncle's wealth has not changed. Is that true or false? I hope you'll be able to answer that. So we'll go on. Okay, it reads number 4 question. You take $150 that you kept under your mattress and you put it into the bank. And then it says, suppose this 150 stays in the banking system as reserves, and banks hold reserves equal to 12.5% of deposits. So it's asking you, what is the total amount of deposits in the banking system? How much will it increase by with this $150 deposit? So what this question is asking you to do is use that formula that we've been using in class. What you're going to use, it's the change in your total deposits is going to be equal to your money multiplier times by the change in deposits. So the change in deposits was 150, and the money multiplier, remember, is 1 over the reserve requirement in percent form. So to get this number right here, you'll use that formula, the money multiplier, times it by the change in the 150, and that's going to give you the maximum amount of deposits in the banking system, how much it could increase by. And then to get the money supply, the actual money available in the economy, you'll take this number of how much the deposits can increase by, the maximum amount, and you will minus out the $150 because that was actually already counted in the money supply as cash because it was under your mattress. So I know that was kind of wordy, but I think you should be able to do that. So question number 10, it reads, assume the banking system has a total reserves of 180 billion, okay? And it says, assume also that required reserves are 20% of checking deposits and that banks hold no excess reserves and households hold no currency. So in essence, this is telling you all the money is in the banking system because no households hold currency. So the money multiplier, it wants to know what is the money multiplier. So I think you know that from that previous question. You'll remember your money multiplier is just 1 over your reserve requirement in percent form. So that's how you'll figure out what the money multiplier is. It tells you by how much the money will multiply by for every new dollar found in the banking system. And then the money supply is blank. So to get the money supply, you've been told that there are no excess reserves and households hold no currency. So to find the money supply in this case, you can use that formula, the money multiplier in this case, times it by the reserves, because for no other reason than just what you've been told, all the money's in the banking system. So the money supply will just be the money multiplier, which you'll have figured from above, multiplying it by the total reserves in the banking system. And then it asks, what would happen to those numbers if now the Fed requires banks to hold 25% of deposits? What would be the new money multiplier, and what would be the potential money supply? And keep in mind, this is an increase in the amount the Fed is requiring banks to hold. So that means we would have less money supply, or the amount of money available for spending in the economy would decline. Oh, and that was it. So I hope that helps. You'll definitely want to look at your notes and review a handout that I'm going to post to help you with some of these formulas. And that's it.